old saying that when you're in an arena of wrongdoing, the best next step is to do the right thing. And if we're to act with integrity as this House, I think the question we have to ask ourselves, especially after the last 8 years, is simply this: haven't we paid enough for Mr. Zuma already? The 10 million people who've been pushed into the unemployment queues because of his disastrous policies have certainly paid enough. The millions of our citizens who've had their futures and opportunities robbed from underneath them have certainly paid enough. The SASSA beneficiaries who have to now wait up into the early hours of the morning and snake around the post offices just to get their meager grant have certainly paid enough. The citizens of the Republic of South Africa who continue to pay on a daily basis through the increases in VAT, tax hikes, petrol prices, and the cost of living to pay for the estimated 100 billion rand that state capture has cost South African citizens have also certainly paid enough. This is a constitutional delinquent who has compromised not only this Parliament, but compromised the office of the presidency and compromised the Constitution of the Republic. Haven't we paid enough? We built a retirement village for Mr. Zuma at Nkandla. As the details that emerged from the Zondo Commission of the deep rot and deep tentacles that have extended from Nkandla to the union buildings, through government departments to our state-owned entities, surely the price we've paid there is enough. The legal fees that we've had to fund over the 10 years as Mr. Zuma desperately fights for the day in court that he desperately wants by trying to avoid that day in court. Have we not paid enough for those legal fees? And the truth of the matter is that the constitutional wrecking ball that is Mr. Zuma has not stopped. Just this weekend, the chief whip of the African National Congress tweeted that there is a clandestine plot which is the undermining of our state in its efforts to fight and reverse state capture, unquote. Why would we reward this man with an increase in his pension and increase in the salary? And if, as the ANC's head of economic policy, Mr. Enoch Gondwana, said that Mr. Zuma is responsible for what has happened, then why on earth would we want to reward this behavior by passing this recommendation in the House today? There are some amongst us today who will come to this podium and argue that this is Mr. Zuma's due. But following the law, we must pass this recommendation in the House today. But I would remind honourable members to look very carefully at the resolution that's before us today. This is not a directive, it's not an instruction, it is a recommendation to this House. And the people who passed this law and put this mechanism in place had in mind that it is this House and us as the elected members of this Parliament who are the representatives of the people of South Africa and custodians of the public purse and the Constitution would have to apply our minds in considering that recommendation. It means that this House has discretion, if it so wishes, not to pass this recommendation and to refuse it. The famed African author Chinua Achebe said that one of the truest tests of integrity is the blunt refusal to be compromised. The DA will not be compromised.